U.S. politics, our next focus, as we look to Capitol Hill. Donald Trump's iron grip over the Republican Party will be shown today in key primary elections. One of the former president's most outspoken critics in Congress is expected to feel his political wrath. Congresswoman Liz Cheney is facing a vote that will determine whether she can run for re-election as a Republican this November. As vice chair of the January 6th committee, Cheney is a fierce critic of Trump, voting to impeach him for the attack on Congress and portraying him as a threat to American democracy. Julia Wong joins us now from Washington with that story. Good morning, Julia. Let's talk about this. Liz Cheney, described as a rock-solid Republican, part of a Republican dynasty, arguably. This is a situation where she's a three-term member of Congress for Wyoming, and yet she is in danger of not being reelected.
Yeah, that's right, John. And simply put, it's because voters say they just don't like her anymore. Many voters, Republican voters, say that they feel she is a sellout, that she has betrayed the people of the party. And this is because Wyoming is a very, as you mentioned, Republican state. It overwhelmingly voted for Trump in the last election. He garnered 70% of the vote. So there is this sense that Cheney, in this case, hasn't been looking out for the best interests of the people of her state, but rather she's looking out for herself. And there's a feeling of deception.
I just don't like what she's done to Wyoming. She's not the person that I believed that she was when I voted for her the first time.
It really does surprise me that so much of the population of Wyoming was for Trump, and to see her do what she did, I don't think she's representing the state very well.
It's all self-serving, so that's her principle for herself. It's not the principle for Wyoming.
Now, the anger towards Cheney has been so strong, she has faced security threats, and that's meant that she's had to change how she's campaigned. You know, normally for something like this, you would go out to large events, you would have those large public receptions, but that hasn't been the case for Cheney. She's been doing instead private gatherings, and she's been gathering endorsements. And more recently, she released an ad featuring her father, Dick Cheney, where they expressed their concerns over the direction that Trump is leading the Republican Party. Now, this particular crusade has won the backing of many Democrats. Many Democrats in that state have actually changed their party affiliation, have registered as Republican in hopes of trying to help Cheney out, really. They say that they believe she promotes democracy, that she stands by and believes in the U.S. Constitution. But that isn't, but those votes can't be something that Cheney relies on because, again, this is a very Republican state. And in this state, the number of registered Republican voters vastly outnumbers the number of Democratic voters. So in this particular primary, Cheney could be the latest example of what happens when you are a very vocal critic of Donald Trump, when you oppose much of what he says, and when you don't like the direction that he's leading this particular party in. And if Cheney does lose this particular primary today, well, she would be the 8th Republican lawmaker who voted to impeach Trump, who would be leaving Congress.
The party's in a bad place. Look, we are standing up against evil. Liz Cheney is standing up against evil. She has fought a valiant fight. Her fight is not over regardless of what happens on Tuesday. And I think it says a lot about the party if she loses. I think it says a lot about the party that we're quick to say defund the FBI and support a guy like Donald Trump.
And there are many who believe that if Cheney loses today, she could potentially throw her name into the race when it comes to the 2024 presidential race.
A reminder, we are talking about Republicans here facing election challenges from their own party. And let's turn our eyes northwest to Alaska, where yet another Trump critic, this time a senator, is in a primary vote today in Alaska, and a political ally is hoping to revive her political career. Walk us through all of that, Julia.
Sure. So Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski will be in a primary as well today. Now, she also voted to impeach Trump in 2021. And this race will be interesting because she is facing off against a Trump-endorsed, a Trump-backed candidate. And this seat is very important because Murkowski is a moderate Republican, and she has been a key vote in many Senate situations. Now, former Governor Sarah Palin, former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin, who was also the 2008 vice presidential candidate. She's also in a special election today. And this is interesting because Sarah Palin endorsed Donald Trump in 2016. He, in turn, has endorsed her for this congressional seat. This would be Alaska's only House seat. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake out with these two races in particular today. John.
Julia, thanks for this. Julia Wong in Washington, D.C.